Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here. Super excited to see you, and thank you for noticing that we popped it back 30 minutes. And no, it's not because we're having a massive snowstorm, although that would have been a really good excuse. I got so many messages from you. You all know I'm in Michigan, and no, I was not driving to the airport, or I would have been stuck in that pile of mess as well. So thankfully, I'm here, and we've got Jerry Granata, and I already see all your comments. Susie said she was excited we pushed it back so she could vacuum. Yeah, I did a few errands in there too. And Jerry is here, and he's got some quilting tips for you. You're going to love it. He always has great samples. I want to remind you this, we're getting towards, let's see, we're on the 20th. You got 11 more days for that special that Brother's doing, that if you want an Aveneer, you can turn in any sewing machine of any brand, of any value. Tell them that you're part of the Wolf Pack, and you get $1,200 rebate. Not from me, it's from Brother. So speaking of Aveneer and speaking of Jerry, hey, Jerry, welcome to the party. How are you?
Hello, everybody. How are we doing? I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome.
I'm so excited. In fact, as I was reading the comments, you have quite a few people that says, Jerry's here. I haven't seen him in a while. I love all the educators, but I'm very happy to see Jerry, and so am I.
I can't handle this kind of pressure. I just can't.
Everybody's saying thank you. This is going to be a great show. It's all about quilting. And for a lot of people who have had an opportunity to visit when we're over at Houston Quilt Fest, you give the best tutorials. You just show how to make quilting so easy that I even want to do it.
Aw, that's so nice. You know, quilting is like anything. You know, you weren't born knowing how to drive a car. It was a learned skill. And the same with quilting. And you start easy. You don't start in a Lamborghini. You start in a little lesser bit of a car just so you can get the skills down. So it's the same thing. You don't start with a quilt that has 8,000 pieces in it. You start with something simple.
Oh, that's good advice, because I'd be the one that would say that one's gorgeous. Like the one behind you is beautiful. Absolute. The colors. Oh, Jerry.
So my quilts come to me in colors, and pink was the color right before I worked on that quilt. I just kept seeing the color, and a friend of mine called me and said, hey, I have tickets to a concert. Would you like to go? I said, sure. Who is it? And he said, pink. I went, really? Okay. I'm supposed to make a pink quilt. So this is kind of pink. It's not my favorite color, but I do love all things Art Deco. And I tried to make this kind of an Art Deco-y thing. It is all pieced crepe back satin. Anywhere there is white, there is embroidery. So machine embroidery. And then I'm going to quilt the heck out of it as we do for show quilters. So yeah, I'm really excited to get it done.
Absolutely gorgeous. Well, speaking of quilting, you're going to show quite a few tips here about quilting on the Aveneer, but they could do some of it they could do on the Luminaire. But that new stitch regulator is really awesome.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about. You know, I don't know why they have me on here. I'm not a quilter at all. No, I'm just kidding. I have been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing this since quilting since 2 years before rotary cutters were even invented. So I've been quilting a long time, and I've carried a lot of information in my head. And I always tell people, if I don't share it, my head will explode. So I'm a giver. I'm a sharer. So I've got a lot of tips and tricks for you. As Angela said, and it was a great tease about the Aveneer, Angela, because that's what we're going to be working on today is the Brother Aveneer. So there's a lot of amazing features. And the reason why I wanted to focus on the Aveneer is I get a lot of questions in the field, so to speak, about the Aveneer. And even owners are still confused about some things. So I wanted to kind of just go over a little bit. This isn't going to be like a full, huge tutorial, but just kind of show you like where to go on the machine, how to do these things. We're going to do edge-to-edge quilting with embroidery. So those of you who have those UFOs out there, there's no more excuses. Jerry has no excuses for unfinished quilts now. So I can put them on my embroidery machine and quilt them, get them done, especially utility quilts. This is such a great way to go. And then we're going to switch over to the ISR, the stitch regulator. We're going to see how that works. And I'm going to show you how you could turn that off. And if you just like to free motion regular, absolutely, we can do that too. So I have a bunch of samples here. Well, a few that I'd like to show you. So I'll just hold them up here. So this is a shirt that I made. Angela, you've seen this one. But this
I was just going to ask about that shirt, but I thought I better not ask because you might not have it here and you'll have to run out of the room. I love that shirt.
Great minds think alike, and so do ours. No. So just wanted to show, this is a shirt that I created, and this is, it might be a little hard to see because it's white on, but this is a hand dyed. That's my other addiction, is hand dyeing. I love doing that. So, and I know you do too, Angela. So I love it. So this is a shirt that I created, and it uses edge to edge quilting on it. So this is not necessarily for quilting. You could use these on garments. So what I did is I used a piece of hand dye and just put one piece of water soluble stabilizer behind it and quilted it edge to edge wise. Put my pattern pieces on the fabric, cut it out, and then created the shirt. So don't think of edge to edge quilting as just for quilting. And so the back too. So now you can see all of that beautiful quilting in there. And of course I had to put crystals on my buttons because have you met me, right? Because I'm like the crystal king here. Another thing you could do, another tease, some of you probably have seen this. This is one of my free motion quilting samples. This was done on dancewear spandex. If you haven't figured out by now, especially with the quilt behind me, I'm the unusual fabrics guy. I go down the aisles you don't normally go down. I was very blessed to be able to be surrounded by people who never said, you can't do that. You can't use that fabric. They said, go for it, whatever, do it. You know, it's all washable anyway, so what's the difference? But it just adds, you know, the quilt behind me, once you see it in person, it just glows. That satin really makes it glow. And then this is a spandex. So this is a dancewear spandex. It's just a non-marked free motion feather sample that I did. I wanted it to look like hammered metal. So folks, if you're looking to have something really special in your projects, in your quilts, kind of check these out. If you are a log cabin fan, you will know that a traditional log cabin block has red in the middle to represent the hearth and the home. I teach a class on that where we use a red spandex in the middle. So when you put the quilt up, you see that glow from the red in the middle from the spandex, and it's so spectacular, and it just makes those quilts really special. And these are washable. These are costuming spandex, so you can wash these. Another one, this is sort of my masterpiece that I've done, is a quilted jacket. I threw the whole kitchen sink at this one, right? This started with this piece of purple. It's a very dark purple, not organza. It's begins with a T. I'm losing words. And it was done this way. But what I did is I took it kind of up a level, and I used decorative stitches in the middle of it. And then I crystalled it all up because, again, have you met me? I used machine embroidery on the sleeves and then free motion quilted on the ultra suede. If you have never quilted ultra suede, it's a lot like Minky with a lot less mess. As you can see, the texture is just beautiful. It quilts up lovely. It's just, and even when you're quilting it, it just feels so soft and so good. So try some ultra suede or even some faux suede. And then the lining is just, you know, it's French seams with lame. I bound it in lame because who does that? I do. So that's, again, have you met me? And then the back is all of this beautiful fabric that has decorative stitching. And I will be honest, all sense of transparency, this took forever. Would I do this again? I'm not sure. But it was so nice to do it. It took forever. So again, and this kind of leads over into quilting too. Be careful of the quilt pattern that you use. If you remember that gold spandex thing that I just showed you, that sample, they're tiny, tiny little circles in between the feathers. Well, if you're doing a king size quilt, I highly suggest you not do little teeny tiny pebbles on that quilt because you will be quilting for the rest of your natural born life. So you do not be careful, careful, careful. You want to create maybe larger patterns. You don't want to frustrate yourself. So that's a good tip there. So see, I just bring out the tips. I just all full.
I love that jacket. The embroidery on the sleeves. Oh my goodness. I'm sitting here drooling over that, because it would look fabulous on one of my jackets.
And you know, I do things and I try to create things that the fabric does all the work, right? And everything else does all the work. That jacket looks a lot more complicated than it actually was to put together. The construction of it was so simple. It was just a really basic pattern. It was nothing fancy. But I just sort of blinged up all the fabric and added the lame. The fabric does all the work. You can do this, folks. You can do it. Just kind of sit back, take your time, let things brew in your art brain, as I call it. Let it brew, and all of a sudden you'll come up with these amazing, amazing things. I have a frozen quilt that I did. That started with a piece of hand-dyed fabric. I finished it, put it on my design wall, kind of let it stew in my art brain for a few days, and out came this quilt. So don't rush yourselves. Just take your time. just be patient. And these things, it's all up there. It's all in there, folks. You just have to tap into it. So those of you who I'm not a quilter, I don't know how, and I'll never be able to do this. Well, if you say that, yes, you've just glass ceilinged yourself. You will never be able to do it. But if you go to a quilt show, right now, Road to California is going on right down the road from me, and use that as a school, as a teaching ground. Don't look at the quilts and go, I am so overwhelmed. I have no idea. Just take one tiny section of it. Look at one section of it, and you'll see probably it's just really simple quilt piecing construction. And that's when your art brain goes, wait, I can do this. I can do that. I can do that part. And then that's how this all grows from there. So just start out simple. Look at things in a simple way instead of being overwhelmed by things. So
I love that.
Look,
and you're going to
look, I'm being preachy now.
No, you're going to give us confidence to do it. And you always do, which is awesome. No pressure. But Phyllis is here from a cruise. She's on a brother cruise. And she's like, I got to watch this. So no pressure, but you've got people on the cruise ship watching you today, Jerry. So let's get this.
I want to be on the cruise. I want to be with you on that cruise. I love cruises. I'm going to teach on a cruise. If anyone wants me to come on a cruise to teach, I'm more than willing to do that. So I'll sacrifice if I have to. I will sacrifice for the team if I have to. I will do it.
Love
so
it.
Let's get started. The reason why we were late is I was having some camera issues. I've got a new setup. So as you can see behind me here, I usually don't have all of that stuff set up, but I just, so that you can see it, I like to have it hidden. But so just kind of bear with me a little bit as we go through this, and we'll get through it, and you're going to see some really cool things. So right now, if you don't mind, Angela, unless you have some questions right off the bat.
All right. You want me to take you out?
Yeah, I'm going to head over to the machine and I'll meet you over there.
All right. Jerry's going to get it all set up for you, and he's got some amazing projects for you. Not really projects, but techniques. And I have to say, I've been working with Jerry for many, many years, and every time I'm with him or do one of these live shows, or if you're lucky enough to be at a show with him, like Houston Quilt Fest, it's amazing. It's amazing everything that he shares, and you're going to love it. So I think I've got you there, Jerry. I'll bring you back. Everybody, leave your questions and comments. We are live in the chat today. Hey, you got two cruises going on. Glenda's going on another cruise. So we've got, Jerry, you got the cruise ships watching you today.
This is so not fair. I want to be there. I'm with you. I'm with you in spirit. All right, so on the bed of my machine here, we're going to start with some edge-to-edge quilting because I get so many questions. How do I do it? What? And on the Brother Aveneer, this is such a magical technique. You will not believe how awesome it is. So what I have here on the bed of my machine, this is just a regular pre-printed panel that I got from Brother. This is going to represent your quilt. So this section here is representing my border that you have created. And then the white section is going to be my main quilt area. So this is the area here that you're going to be focusing on. We're not going to do the borders today. There is a border function, which I may have to come back and show you. There is a border function where we can quilt these two, but we're going to work with the main area of the quilt here today. And so I have this all hooped up, and just so you can see how it's done, if you notice, I've left a little bit of the inner quilt showing. That is what you want here. You don't want to hoop all the way to the edge because the camera and the projector have to be able to see that. And there is a certain field that it wants to stitch in. So I've left just a little bit, maybe a couple inches here, inch and a half, couple inches all around so that my projector can see it. And then you could be able to see it as well. So the first thing I need to do is, okay, here's my quilt. I want to quilt this using edge to edge. So what do I do? So the first thing you're going to do, and you can do, now folks, you can do a quilt up to 118 inches square. That's almost bigger than a king size. I think it is bigger than a king size. That's crazy. You can do this up to a 118-inch quilt. So that's just amazing to me. So what you want to do, again, leave that little bit of an area. And I'm going to measure, what I did is I measured from this end all the way over to the other end. Just the interior section, right? I'm just kind of ignore your borders for now. So you're going to go right from here all the way over to the other edge, right down here. And for me, that was 16.5 inches. So now I'm going to come all the way up to the top right there in that white area and measure all the way down to here. So I'm trying to watch myself on camera, so I'm sort of zigzagging with my finger. So we're going to come straight down, and we're going to measure from the top to the bottom here and get that measurement. For me, that's 15.5. Now, just want to write those down, just make sure you don't forget them. And now we're going to head on over to our screen and we're going to see how this all works. Now, this is going to be found in embroidery. I'm sorry if it's a little bit blurry. Again, I'm working with a new camera and it's trying to focus all over the place. So I'm going to go to embroidery and I'm going to go to category 4, I believe it is right here. No, I'm sorry, category Q for quilting. So we're going to go here. And, you know, what I love about Brother is they give you so many clues, right? If you're going to work with fonts, where are you going to go? Well, where the fonts are. If you're going to work with frames, you're going to go to the frames. If you're going to work with Disney, you're going to go to Disney. I love that Brother simplifies things like this. So in this category, we're going to go to Q for quilt. And you can see all of the edge-to-edge designs in the border. Now, there's the border function I was talking about, so we may come back and do that. But in this case, I'm going to go to category 4 because you could see the picture of it. That's all your edge-to-edge designs. And look at all the designs that we have. We just have a load of them. And I love that. So let's just pick something simple for now. So I'm just going to do a really simple meander. And I'm going to choose that. And then I'm going to go, oops, sorry. Let me come down here. I'm going to go down to set. And now it's going to want a few different numbers. Now, this may look overwhelming and confusing, but it's not. It's really, really simple once you know what you're doing. So let's go through it. So the first thing now in Brother World, when something is a light blue, that usually means it wants information in that area, or it means that particular thing is active. So in this case, my light blue section, it wants to know what? The width. It wants to know the width of my fabric. Now remember, I said that was 16.5. So I'm going to use the keypad down here and go 16.5. And then I'm going to set it. And boop, notice it goes right up here. Now, did you see it highlight down here? So now it wants to know the width, or I'm sorry, the length. So for me, that's 15.5. So I'm going to go 15.5 and set. And now what I can do is, it's already selected, but you can go through here and you can choose your hoop size. And you notice how these numbers change as I go through my hoop size. So in my case, I'm just going to stick with the large one because that's what I'm working with. Now, the other information over here, it's going to be cut into 2 pieces, right? So I'm going to have 2 pieces to quilt. I've got 1 row because I don't have multiple rows. It tells me the design area. But watch this. Some of you may not know this, even if you own the machine. Flip option. Here's where it gets really fun. So watch this. We're going to select that. And look. So every second and fourth pattern in whatever pattern I choose, this works for all of them that you saw, you can change the design. You can flip it. So every second and fourth one, you can flip it. So this one works really well because what I'm focusing on here is right here, and I know this is really small, so I apologize, but right here where the pattern meets up. All right, this is what I'm focused on because I want to make sure it's a nice, smooth transition. And watch, I'll show you what I mean right here. So let's do the second one. So this is now flipped this way. So that's great. See, now I've got some options here. However, look at where the join is here. It kind of creates a little heart. That's not really smooth for me. I'm not real crazy about that one. So let's flip it again and see what happens. Okay, so it's flipped it now upside down. Okay, but again, here my joins are sort of like a little heart. And I don't want that. So let's flip it again. And now look what happened. Now do you see that nice smooth transition here where the join is? That's what I'm looking for. And I've also flipped the pattern. I've reversed it and flipped it upside down. So it gives me just a little bit of a different look, which I think is awesome. So you're not just bound to what you see. You can flip things and play with them. But for now, we're going to say, okay. And now I'm going to go to next because I have everything set. At this point, the reason why they have you go back here, just double check. Double check your inputs. Double check your length and width. Make sure your flip settings are correct. Make sure your hoop is correct. And once you've got that all the way you want it, you're going to touch next. And there's a picture of my designs. Remember, it said it split it into 2. So those are my 2 sections. Here I've got the length and the width. I can choose to choose a different color if I want to. In this case, I'm using blue, so I'll just stay with blue. And down here, I can choose between a single stitch or a triple stitch. So if I want a little bit heavier look to my quilting, I would choose that. But in this case, I'm happy with it. I'm okay with where it is. So now what you need to do is go to the memory pocket, because this is how this all works. So we're going to choose memory. It's going to say it's going to be saved in the machine's memory. Okay. And it's going to say wait a while. So it's going to switch this all over to my machine memory. Okay, there we go. So now we have our designs, and you can see I've been playing with picture play. This is a friend of mine's dog that I'm going to be doing, and I'm doing a couple different versions of that. But in this case, there's my design, and it always shows up first. So I'm going to choose my design, and then I'm going to choose. Now, at this point, I can choose between just doing the whole thing or splitting it up into sections. So that would be nice. If maybe I want to go back and maybe it didn't quite fill in the way I wanted, I can go back and pick one of the individual designs and have that work. But in this case, I've just touched the whole thing. That's what I want. So I'm going to touch set. Because I want to do this is like you would touch the first one if you were doing your whole quilt. But look at this. It shows you how to hoop. This is so exciting. This just gets me so excited. So it says begin sewing from the upper left corner of the fabric, attach the embroidery frame in the initial sewing position. It shows you how to hoop. Now, if you had your voice guidance on, it would read all these instructions to you, because some of us, we can't hoop right where we're at. We have to go to another section of the room. So you can have it read it to you. So I have done this. I've hooped just like this. I'm going to touch OK. So now there's nothing that happens on this page, right? You could touch it and it's not going to, unless you touch OK. This is telling you what it's going to do and what you're supposed to do. So you're going to move the pattern keys to align the upper left-hand corner, all of that there. What that means is it is going to project my design with a little green crosshair that I need to put into the upper left-hand corner of my quilt, just as it shows. So again, if you just be patient, follow along with the instructions, you'll be fine. So I'm going to say, OK. So now the projector is coming on. And let's go back to my hoop and look at that. Folks, this blows my mind. This should blow your mind. This is a projected image of the design on my quilt. All right. No, I turned my camera to stop it from doing that. So sorry. And it's still doing it. So there's my crosshair right up here. Here is my design being projected on the left. The line here is going to be what I'm going to align with the side of my border. So right now what I'm focused on is this crosshatch right up here. I need to put that up in the corner. So let's go back to my screen, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to use these keys here, these arrow keys, to shift that crosshair up, down, sideways, however I need to get it back into this corner. So I'm going to use those arrow keys now, and I'm going to move the design. You can see it moving. Oops, I need to get my white. So you can see this moving. So I'm going to focus on first the vertical, and now I'm going to move it up to the horizontal. You see my hoop moving? So right now, that crosshair, if you can see, right up here is right in that corner. That's exactly where I want it to be. And so now I'm going to touch OK, because that's what it wants me to do. Now I have, let's go back to my screen. So now what's it saying? So it's saying use the rotate keys to adjust the angle of the pattern while keeping an eye on the points around the pattern. So what's going to happen is now what's going to be projected is another crosshair that it's going to want me to place another crosshair. It's going to want me to place it right up here on this border. So let me touch OK, and you'll see this move. So now you have another crosshair here. Let me get my paper so you can see it. There's your other crosshair. It wants me to put the center of this right at the edge of that border, and I'm actually almost there. But what I'm going to do, remember those? Now I'm going to use I'll show you so you can see it. Now instead of arrow keys, it's going to want me to use rotational keys. So I'm going to use those to now just shift this. I only need to go up just a tiny little bit here. Just going to come on up. Just keep going until that horizontal line. Oh, there we go. That horizontal line is touching the edge of my quilt. All right, then I'm going to touch OK on my screen. And now I'm ready to start quilting. However, at this point, I can still rotate, move this however I need to move it. I can do whatever it is I need to do, but I'm ready to start. So I'm going to go ahead and just touch start, and it is going to start stitching. Now this is a 3-minute stitch out. So Angela, if you have any questions, let's go ahead and get those.
There are some questions for you. So I will bring you up here larger so they can see that. Great. Glenda has a question. And
yes.
This is a fabulous question because my sister had the same question because she wants to do some with her sporting t-shirts. She wants to do a quilt with all of the cruise ship t-shirts that she has. What should she use for padding, and any other advice you have for her?
For a t-shirt? For a quilting t-shirt?
Yep, a quilt made out of t-shirts. Is that what you call it?
So t-shirt quilts, basically. Yeah. What is with the cruise theme today? I'm really envious of you people. I just want to say that. I want to be on one so bad. I love them. Okay, so t-shirt quilts can be squirrely, as you probably heard. They can be a little funny to work with. And my biggest tip for using, let me get over to my thing here. There, makes it a little more personal. So Glenda, what you're going to do is, you probably heard some of the horror stories about t-shirt quilts. And the reason why is because it's a knit fabric. It's very stretchy. It's a 4-way stretch. It's an 8-way, it's an 8,000-way stretch, right? It stretches in every direction. And that's the problem. So when you start piecing them together, everything's going to stretch and distort, and then you're going to try and quilt it, and everything's distorted. So the key to that, it's just, do you remember my spandex sample that I just showed you, the gold feathering sample? So the key, that stretches like crazy. As you know, Angela, that stuff stretches like crazy. It's custom. It's meant to wrap around the body in every way possible. The way to do that is to get a very sheer fusible interfacing, the sheerest you can get. And what you're going to do is you're going to very carefully iron that on the back. Use the lowest setting that you can get away with that still melts the glue but isn't going to like scorch anything. You don't need it on the hottest setting possible. So you're just going to set it on the lowest setting possible to melt the glue and glue that on the back. And what that's going to do is going to take all the stretch out of that knit without adding too much body and too much weight to the fabric. So the hand of it will still be nice and soft, but it'll take all that stretch out. And that's exactly how I work with the spandex. Just a very inexpensive, sheer, fusible interfacing. And you're good to go. Now you can treat it just like regular fabric. There's no stretch there.
That is a great, Glenda, I think you have some of that. The interfacing, that fusible that you got from me, it's thin, comes in white or black. It's really thin. That would be perfect for what Jerry's talking about. That's a great idea. And it keeps the fabric from getting all wonky.
Because that's the worst part. If you listen to long arm quilters and they talk about people who give them t-shirts quilts, they just want to pull their hair out because it's so stretchy and they haven't backed it with anything. So if you're going to have your long armer do this, or as I call it, quilting by check, you want to take all that stretch out. Do them a favor. Don't make them say bad words. So you want to take all that stretch out. So use just the sheerest fusible interfacing you can, and that should help.
Awesome. Oh, Jan says she's so glad for this episode because she's going to be finishing her quilt up. And you're going on a cruise on Friday. Is everybody going on a cruise except for you and I, Jerry?
What is? I didn't get this memo. Wait a minute. Did you miss something here?
At least you're in sunny California. I'm here in like 4 feet of snow in Michigan. So, yeah.
82 degrees. I know. Shut up, Jerry. He's doing sunny here. All right. So, any more questions? Anything else? Anything else you
No, I don't see any others. Everybody's just saying great job. And by the way, everyone, we are live today. So if you have comments and questions, leave them in the chat. I will bring the questions up to Jerry during the breaks.
So my camera could fall, my microphone could go out. Yeah, it's all happening live, people. This is all in real time. All right, so let's go back to my hoop. So let me run on over there.
All right.
We're gonna go back to my hoop.
Yeah, you could fuse it on. You could fuse that fusible interfacing, and that's the stuff what I'm talking about is actually used in the garment industry. So it works great on garments. It's not like the cheap sticky stuff. So just be careful what you get.
Yeah, and you could use, there are fusibles for knits too. So, that's probably what you're talking about, Angela. That would work great.
Yeah.
But you want the lightest that you can. You don't want to use some big heavyweight fusible stabilizer because now you've created paper out of your t-shirt quilt, you know, and you just you want the hand to be nice and light. So here we are, we just finished. So now what I need to do, so here, right here is my connecting point. So this is what I'm going to be focused on next. So let's go over to my screen and see what's going on. Embroidery is finished. That's my favorite phrase in this whole machine. Embroidery is finished. So what do we need to do now? Is it okay to connect the next pattern? Yes, absolutely. I'm ready to go. That's what I want to do. And so now, going back, look at what we got. Now it tells me how to rehoop this. So rehoop the fabric to the right side while including the right edge of the pattern on the left of the hoop. So I know it's going to be hard to see here, but on your screen, it wants you to see it wants you to leave just a little bit of the design there, because that makes sense, right? You need to meet it up with something. So let's go back to my hoop and look at that. Doesn't this just blow you away? Doesn't, Angela, isn't this just, it's crazy that I can see my design projected down onto my hoop like this. And so here's my crosshair. Now I'm only using the white paper so that you can see it. It's very clear on my hoop, but it gets a little squirrely when you start using cameras. But here's my big crosshair. And now what it wants me to do is I'm going to line up that crosshair with this connecting point. But first I need to rehoop. So Angela, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do that. I'm going to pull my hoop out very carefully, and then I'm going to go to another area and rehoop.
Sounds good. When you're back at the other area, I'll bring you back up. Hey, Lorraine, I think he read your mind. She said, will you show us how to connect the next section? He's on it. He's on it. Now, one thing I want to point out, some of you have the Luminaire, which also has edge to edge, and that projector is 3x5, and this projector is 5x8. Is that right?
Yes.
I always get the numbers mixed up. Yeah. So the difference
this is 5x8.
You can see how much of that hoop you can see with that projector. It makes it so simple to rehoop. So simple. All right. Well, we're waiting for Jerry to get back to the machine. I'm just checking to see if there's any other questions. Oh, yeah, here's a good one. She's talking about the t-shirt quilt. Could you technically, and I would say no, but I'm curious to see what Jerry has to say. Could you fuse it after you quilt it? I don't know if you'd want to do that, because before you quilt it, I mean, you're going to want to do it so you can sew it together and it's not all stretchy everywhere, right?
Right. Can you still hear me? I dropped my microphone.
I can hear you. Your camera went out, but I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. I'll fix that. Yes, you could do that. However, you want to take that stretch out first. So if you quilt it, you might get frustrated because everything is kind of shifting and moving around. So you do want to get that stretch out first before you start quilting. Just do yourself a favor.
Yeah, because the whole idea is to stabilize those t-shirts before you actually get rolling on sewing them together. So
exactly.
Definitely.
Yep. All right. I'm almost there. Almost there.
Great to see you. And Elaine, I got part of your question. Does this info work with the same with what? Write another comment to finish that and I'll let you know. Patty, can we do this on the still air using the 2-point alignment function since we don't have the camera?
Ish. You can. Yeah. Ish. Yes, technically you can. Yes. Yes. It's going to work a little differently, but yes, in much the same way. All right. Are we back up? Oh, my camera went out again. There we go. All right. I think I'm ready.
Right, I got you back.
Sorry. Technical difficulties. All right. So as you can see here, I have left a little bit of the design. There's my matchup point. So the next thing that's going to happen, and we'll go over to my screen. So again, it wants me to rehoop, leave a little bit of the design. Okay, I've done that. So I'm going to touch OK. And then it's going to say, use the move pattern key, just the same as just we did. So now what's going to happen is it's going to want to move this crosshatch over to my starting point. So we're going to do that. Say, OK, that's groovy. That works for me. So now I'm going to go over to my screen again, and I'm going to use these arrow keys, just like we just did. And I'm going to move my design in my hoop so that crosshair is touching the start points. So I'm going to move it on over and get the center of that crosshair right on my starting point. And you do want to take your time with this. You do want to be careful because you want it to be, you want it to be correct. You want it to start in the right area. You may have to get down in there, but okay. Right. Looks like I'm right on the money there. All right, so once I've got that, I'm just going to touch OK on my screen. And now it's going to do the same thing. It's going to want me to rotate. I'm going to rotate this. Now, here's the cool thing about this program. And Brother, man, they always just go one step ahead of what I'm thinking, right? So not only are we going to rotate to align it, again, like we did with the upper border, but if by chance our numbers are wrong, we input the number wrong, maybe something, we didn't hoop it, quite exactly, we can stretch the design so that it goes over to the border. So I just think that's brilliant. So it just fits it in perfectly. So let's touch OK, and let's go over and see how this is going to work. So again, now instead of arrows, I'm getting rotational tools. So the first thing that I'm going to do is come on. Wow, I'm almost right on the money there. You can see that's almost right there. So the right side here, the red section is right on the edge of my. So I'm not going to need to stretch this at all. So this works perfectly. And this is usually what happens, folks. You get it's right on the money. So if you measure correctly, this should be right at the edge of your border, and it is. I am only, oh my gosh, what is that? It's 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch away from the border. So I'm just going to use my rotational tool and make sure that goes right up to the top. Now, when you rotate, you may need to stretch that a little bit, which I don't need to do that too much. So there, I'm right there. So that's exactly what it wants me to do. So I'll touch OK. And just like that, I'm ready to start the next section. So I'm going to touch my stop start button right here. And boop, it goes right over to that starting section. And I'll show you when I'm done just how accurately this, oh my gosh, it's right on the money. You can see it's right there. You can't even tell where it connected. So now, if you wanted to do this, now this is just a sample, right? So, and again, it's not a full tutorial of how to do this, but if you wanted to, you could bring your threads up to the top like we do with quilting, and you could do just a couple little stitches, or you could bury your threads, and that way you won't see anything underneath your quilt or underneath your project. So this is another 3-minute stitch out. So I'm going to come on back so you get to see my glorious face. And we'll see if we have any other questions.
There are a lot of questions for you, actually. So a couple people asked, so this process would work on the Luminaire, even though it has a smaller projector. It's the exact same process, correct?
Correct. Yep, it works exactly the same way. It's gonna want you to rotate and align, and then it's going to have the little crosshair that you're going to align with the next design, the previous design. And so, yeah, you could do this on the Luminaire as well. Sure. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Cheryl wants to know, can you use this feature bringing in other quilting designs purchased elsewhere, aka not Brother quilting designs that are built into the machine?
Cheryl, you asked this at just the right time, and here's why. Let me bring my microphone over so you can hear me. I was just going to talk about that. Literally, yes, you could get a third-party design and bring it in. It wouldn't necessarily work the same way because the projector and all of that, the camera works with the interior and internal designs, but you could project the design onto your. It works similar, but a little different. You can use the projector for any embroidery design, whether it be any third party that you bring in or any quilting design that you bring in. You can project that design onto the bed of your machine and still do it this way. So it's sort of a workaround, but yeah, you could absolutely make this work. Again, that's the beauty of Brother is you can, they try to make things fun and easy because if it's complicated and hard, I'm not going to do it.
Yes, and so to be clear on that, you cannot bring it in and do the dimensions like he showed. That part will not work on a design brought in. So I get that question so many times, and I'm like, you can do it with the projector, and you got to get a little creative, but it does not work the same way that he showed at the beginning.
Remember I said this only works with the built-ins for this particular technique. But, Brother's always coming up with new designs. So I'm sure in the future they're going to give us more designs as well because they've really hit the ball out of the park with these edge designs because they're beautiful. They work really great. And I know I've been screaming for more designs. So
I know. More
And they
design,
just want to
more
keep me
design.
quiet. So they want to keep me quiet. So they'll just throw more design. There, Jerry, he's happy now.
Dory wants to know, hey, Dory, can we edit a design with Design Center that she created months ago in my Design Center?
If it's saved in my Design Center, absolutely. You could have designs you saved years ago in there, and you could always come back and work with them. Yes. One thing I always like to say about Design Center is there is a point where it is going to warn you that it's now going over to the embroidery section. So at that point, you always save a design. And I always, and I want to emphasize always, save a design from my Design Center always to my machine. Because you never know when you're going to want to go back. Even though you're saying, this is just a one-off, I'm just going to get this done and I'm done with it. You never know. Somebody down the line may love that design and say, oh, can you do this for me? Now you got to start from scratch, right? So I always save it until I'm sure I don't need it anymore. That way I can always go back and play with it, and I'm good to go.
I also save it too because every once in a while, like once in a big blue moon, but every once in a while, Jerry, do you ever have this happen where you did the whole design and there might have been a little opening on something you drew that you didn't realize, and you go to embroider it and it doesn't look exactly the way you want it, or maybe you didn't like the decorative stitch you chose. So if it's saved in my Design Center, you can switch it like that instead of having to recreate the wheel.
Absolutely. You know, and in my Design Center, you can adjust like the angle of your stitches too. So like that's a great point. You know, you can look at that and go, ooh, this isn't turning out the way I wanted at all. This is why I always say, do a test first. Don't work on your final project. Always do a little quick test stitch out first. That way, if something's not working,
I want that gold lame that you did. I need a pair of gold lame pants. I think that would be fabulous for fishing.
Why did we get rid of hammer pants? I thought the gold lame hammer pants were awesome. I think we should bring that back. Angela, you and I are going to work on that. We're going to bring back the hammer pants, and they're going to be hot. Everything old is new again, right? Look at now we're getting embroidered jeans and bell bottoms and all this other stuff again. So, you know, those of you who still have them for the 70s, you can make a fortune off those now because they're vintage.
Lorraine says, I'm so glad I'm saving this video, watching it later. Yeah. Don't forget, if you guys are on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. But also, you go back and binge watch, save these. You can share these to watch later on your own page. And if you're on Facebook, share it with your friends or share it to your page. It's the easiest way to go. And then when you're at your machine, go back and hit replay and you can follow along.
Yep. Simple as pie. Simple as pie. And, you know, the other educators, too, are just a wealth of knowledge. So anytime, you know, Angela has them on, and Angela herself, please listen to Angela. Angela is just a walking textbook of knowledge. So, you know, pick her brain every once in a while. If you have any questions, you go to a show where she's at, write them down. Write your questions down. She'd be more than happy to answer them. Any of us will be more than happy. If you see us at a show, just stop on by, ask your questions. I don't know why worms come out when it rains. So those kind of questions I'm not really happy to answer. So
you can ask me fashion and fishing. That's about it. That's about
fashion and fishing. F&F. Nice. Hey, you should start a fashion company, F&F, and have it be fishing oriented.
I love that.
$1 billion idea. You can take it. I won't take any credit. It's fine.
It's perfect. Well, when I wear those gold lame pants out fishing, I'll let you know how that works out.
Fishing hammer pants. They're coming back. I'm telling you. It's a thing. It's going to be a thing. All right. So I'm going to head back. This just finished stitching. So I'm going to, I'm sorry.
Do you machine tie when starting at the point you connect, or are you tying out at the end, or are you just using the automatic cutter? You've got some quilters here that I know there's some technical things that you all do, and I want to get this question.
Right. Yeah. Well, we don't want to see any thread tails on the back. And that's why I was saying before, at the end of this, if you wanted to pull your threads up, you could certainly do that. You just stop it just before it does the little locking stitch, and then you can pull your bottom thread up to the top and either tie it off or bury the thread or have the machine lock the stitch, and then you can cut it. So that way you don't see any threads on the back. So yeah, there's techniques for that.
Perfect. All right. I'll go back to you. And one more question here. Patty, write a little bit more description on that. Can you stretch on the luminaire? I'm not sure what you mean by that. So give us a little more info and we'll try to answer that. So
I think she's talking about, can you stretch the design like I was talking about? If it doesn't quite fill it, can you stretch it? The luminaire does not have that feature. That's just on the Aveneer. So yeah, it doesn't have the stretch. Well, kind of does, but not. really. You have to do it manually.
Very, very good question. All right.
That's an
back
excellent
to
question.
Jerry.
All right, so look what happened here. I am literally right at the edge. It was so accurate. I am literally right at the end of that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out of the hoop. So
Bring you back.
I'm going to take this out of the hoop. So give me a second here, Angela. I want to be able to show everyone how
Chris,
this looks.
Giving you the love on that. Absolutely love the shows with Jerry. And yes, brother's awesome. And Angela, you're the best. Hey, thanks, Chris. Love that.
Aw.
Thank you.
I think
Dory
so.
says, thank you. I did not save it in my design center. Oh, Dory, that means you got to start from scratch.
That just hurts my heart.
I know. Oh, are you back already, Jerry?
I'm back.
Oh.
I don't play around. I don't play around here. Now look at this, folks. Look at this. This was all done by my embroidery machine. And again, I just measured from here to here, and then up here down to the bottom. And the machine did all the work. It even told me how to hoop. It even told me what it was going to do. Now, the meetup point is right here. Pretty hard to tell, right? That's right on the That's right on the money. So, I mean, this is the brilliance of this. So, and I love this design. I mean, this would be great for a utility quilt, a dog quilt, a picnic quilt, even on just, I want to get it done quilt. So, yeah, absolutely. All right. So now that we're done with that, if there's no more questions on that, I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to my stitch regulator because I'm going to show you how exciting that is. So let me just.
Do you need me to take you out for that?
Up my foot. I'm going to talk about the foot really quick. So here is my stitch regulation foot. It plugs in. If you're familiar with Brother products, it plugs in just like the Move It foot. And just like some of our other feet. And this is as simple as it gets. It's a foot-based stitch regulator. And on the bottom, there's where the magic happens. There's a little sensor right here. And this is reading the speed of the fabric, and it's adjusting the stitches accordingly. So those of you who are not really sure what stitch regulation means, that's exactly what it is. The machine is reading the speed of your fabric, and it's making the stitches adjust perfectly. So this is another way to quilt. And I'm going to show you how beautifully this works too. So if you want to take me out, I'll go ahead and switch this over.
All right. And I'll bring some questions up. Can you hear me while you're back there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I got about 5 questions rolling in. I'll squeeze through these. Cindy, how are you? I put a PES design in my Luminaire on a USB stick, stitched it out, and then tried to use that design in my Dream Machine. Apparently, the Luminaire changed the format to PHX. Am I right?
Yes, it will do that. Yes, it will do it in PHX. If you switch it over to DST, which is sort of our generic format, it'll work that way. But yeah, it'll change it to, once you save it in Luminaire or the Aveneer, it changes it to a PHX. It's kind of a proprietary thing that they do.
All right, that answers. Cindy, if you need more on that, just send it over. Okay, Needle Quirks has a question for Jerry.
Uh-oh.
Specifically, do you have a fancy Jerry trick for dealing with the knots on the end of a design on the back of the quilt? My machine is making yucky knots. Oh, we don't like yuck. Nobody wants yucky knots.
Yucky's not good.
I pull up the thread at the start, question mark.
Yes. Ooh, a fancy Jerry trick. I love that.
A fancy Jerry trick.
So yeah, once the machine moves over to where you're going to start stitching, it's going to stop. Stop your machine at that point. Touch your stop start button. Then what I'll do is a needle down and a needle up, and that will pull up my bobbin thread. Now you can do whatever you want. If you want to do a tie off and you want to bury those threads, you could do that. If you want to let it do a locking stitch, then you can stop the machine and bring your bobbin thread up to the top. But yeah, that's the way to avoid all the yucky on the back on the back of the design. And you'll do that at the start and at the stop. Excuse me. So every time it stops, remember where it joined here, I would do that here as well. I would do that there as well. So you bring it up, and then when it starts again, you're going to bring your thread up, just like you would in regular quilting.
Perfect. All right, I got one more for you, and then I'll let you take it away. Yeah. Susie, great to see you, by the way. She was happy she got to vacuum while we had a 30-minute break.
No.
Hey, is there a way to take the built-in edge-to-edge quilt patterns into my design center and manipulate them a little bit, and then bring them back to the embroidery and put them back into edge-to-edge?
Susie, you are my spirit animal. You really are. You are thinking outside the box just like I do. In this case, no, there's no way to bring it into the design center and manipulate it. But that I love that. You know what? I'm going to write that down and I'm going to give it to the engineers and say, this is what we want to do. I like it. I mean, I think it's a great idea. But yeah, I'll present it to them.
Susie has the Aveneer. She had the Luminaire. Now she has the Aveneer. And Jerry, eventually I'm going to have to send you a photo of what she did with some of my embroidery designs on her jeans. Yeah. They're amazing. So
awesome.
Yeah, Susie will put that in the bucket list for the Aveneer.
That's a great, yeah. Thank you, Susie. That's a great idea. All right, so now I'm going to do some stitching, some stitch regulation. I'm going to show you a little trick here that I do. So I'm going to pull my bobbin out. Why are you pulling your bobbin out? I'm sorry, my big Godzilla hands are in the way here, but because I'm going to show you a little trick. So right now I'm using embroidery thread because I'm just doing a sample. Let me get my hands out of the way here. So I'm just using embroidery thread. That's fine to use if you're just going to do a test. But I'm just doing that now. So I'm going to put my bobbin back into the bobbin case, and we come around like we always do, and we cut the thread. Don't cut the thread. You want to leave about 3 or 4 inches of tail, and I know it's white on white, so it's really hard for you to see, but there's a little thread tail here that I'm leaving. I'm looping it around, but I'm not cutting it. So I'm just leaving a little bit of the thread tail. And because you want to bring that bobbin thread up, and this is how you're going to do it. If you were going to use the cutter, the problem with it is it's going to cut the thread tail too short, and you're not going to be able to pull that up. So let me go over to my screen because I'm going to show you how this is going to work. So I'm going to touch my home key, and then it's going to say cancel the pattern. No, I don't want to cancel it. I like it. And now we're going to go over to sewing. And it's going to move out of the way. Yes, you can still free motion quilt with the embroidery unit on. Absolutely. I do it all the time. But I have my stitch regulator plugged in. So notice it's telling me you can start free motion quilting with the stitch regulator. So I'm going to say, okay. So the machine has already acknowledged automatically that I'm using the stitch regulator because I have it plugged in. Now, again, Brother trying to keep things fun, simple, and easy. This is as complicated as it gets, folks. This is a very simple menu right here. And let me go through it very quickly. I know we're sort of limited in time here, but just go through it real quickly. You can use the guidelines with this. You can use the status bar. You can use the stop-start button. You can use all this other stuff. Right here is what we're focused on. There are 3 modes. Mode 1 is going to be just like what we think of as stitch regulation. It's intermittent. And that means that it's going to start when you start and stop when you stop. Mode 2 is continuous. That means when you start, it starts. When you stop, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep stitching. So think pointy points. So if you're moving in a radically different direction, it's going to put that extra stitch at the point so you get a point instead of an arc. Number 3 is basting. Here's where you're going to use water-soluble thread. Yes, there is such a thing, or wash-away thread. You're going to put it in the bobbin and in the top, and you're going to baste your quilts as usual using your machine. And then you're going to, once you're done with that, you're going to leave all that stitching in and change out to your regular quilting bobbin thread and top thread. Quilt your quilt as you normally would. Then when you're done quilting, you're going to throw that in the wash and all that basting thread washes out. So that is a magical trick that I love to tell people about. Water-soluble thread is your friend when you're basting. No more do you have to crawl around on the floor with safety pins. And safety pins are an issue too, because sometimes, free motion quilting is my zen thing. It's my zen area. And I'll just be quilting away and bam, my needle hits a safety pin and I didn't realize it. So it's a safety issue. So if you're going to use water-soluble thread to baste with using mode number 3, oh my gosh, it will change your life. Now down here, you can also change your width, your length. I don't have a mode selected, so I'll just select mode 1. And notice I can free motion in either straight stitch or zigzag, which is great for thread painting, filling areas really fast. But in this case, I'm just going to use a regular straight stitch. But I can now change the width. Well, not the width because it's a straight stitch. The length, left, right, shift, tension. I'm going to drop my stitch length down just a little bit. I also have memory pockets over here at the lower right. So if I find a stitch that I absolutely love, then I can save it. So let's go back to my machine and we're going to see how this all works. So here we are. I have my top thread. I'm holding my top thread right here. And I'm going to, wherever I want to start, I'm going to needle down, needle up, pull my project forward. I know it's not hard. It's not easy to see. I'm sorry. But my bobbin thread has come up right here. I'm going to bring it right on back to where the bobbin thread came out and drop my needle and breathe at this point, right? We're not just going to jump into this. So here's another quick tip. If you are going to free motion quilt, do not start stitching right away on your final project. Sorry, folks. On your final project, right? You want to practice first. I have a whole stack on the side of my Aveneer of quilt sandwiches that I use to practice with. Some of us are very, we've had a stressful day. Things didn't go too well, but we do want to get some stitching in. If you start stitching on your final project, all of that tension is going to go right into your quilt, and you're going to be frustrated. You're not going to have good stitching. So use a practice sandwich first. Warm up for about 10 minutes, get your art brain going, and then switch over to your project. Now, what I do, I'll have like hundreds of quilt sandwiches, practice quilt sandwiches. I stitch them together and create dog beds that I give to our local shelter, or cat beds, either one. So they think it's great. I bring these things in and they're like, wow, this is fancy. And I'm like, well, they're just my sandwiches, my samples. So, but they love them. So in this case, I'm ready to go now. So all I need to do is right up here, touch my stop start button, and the machine is going to, it's basically going to, oh, I've got my foot pedal attached. See, it's smarter than I am. So there's a tip. If you're ready to start embroidering or sewing and this light is red, touch that, because then you go over to your screen and it'll tell you what's wrong. So in my case, I have my foot pedal still plugged in, which is not what you want to do. So now I'm ready for my free motion. Now I can just kind of stitch my little heart out. And notice I can go really slow, stitch at a time if I need to. Get my hands out of the way. Or I can go really fast. In my case, I'm just doing a little bit of meandering here. And this is another way that you can quilt your quilts. So I'm just going to cut my thread for now. Now bring this over, and you can see some of the meandering that I did here. You can see that. The stitch regulator, I am using an open toe foot, but it also comes with a closed toe and an echoing foot, which I had. There we are. So it comes with a closed toe, and by closed toe, you can see that it is closed off. It's a completely enclosed circle. Then it also comes with an echo foot. So if you wanted to do some echo stitching, let's see if it showed up here better, an echo quilting around an area, around a seam, around a piece of applique, then you could do that as well. Now, if you are a free motion quilter and you love free motion quilting, but you're not really used to the stitch regulator first, you can come over to your display in your menu and you can turn that off. Now you can still use the stitch regulator. I'm sorry, you can use the foot. Come on over. You can still use the foot in regular free motion. So you're just going to set the speed of your machine. Right now, I am not stitch regulated. The machine is going at a solid speed, and you are creating the length of your stitches. So you can hear how smooth the machine is. So right now, I'm not in stitch regulation, but I can also come over to my screen again, turn it on, and I can be in stitch regulation again. So it's either way. You can switch back and forth. It's completely up to you. So this is just yet another way that you can quilt as well. Again, do a test first. Practice first on some little quilt sandwiches. Get all the stress of the day out, or just get your art brain in gear for, okay, we're quilting now. It's quilt time. And so your brain goes, oh, okay, I get it now. So get out the stress of the day on those practice sandwiches and then go over to your finished project. Because nobody hates ripping out stitches more than I do. Trust me.
We don't like ripping out stitches.
No. I bought these really expensive, really pretty seam rippers. I call him Jack the Ripper. And the reason
hey, that's who I've got too.
I think we all have a lot of Jacks in our sewing rooms. But the reason why is because I dislike ripping out stitches very much. And so I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it, I want something pretty to look at while I'm So I have a
Definitely.
picture of Angela on my wall. Oh, see how that works.
You're the best, Jerry.
So here's another quick tip to kind of finish off with. A lot of people will say, and a lot of people ask me, I have no idea how to quilt my quilt when I'm finished. It's just going to be a utility quilt. I'm overthinking this. And I say, you know what? We all have big print fabric, or I call it the "what was I thinking" fabric, right? So this is like a medium to a large print. Use that as the backing of your quilt, and then flip it over so that that backing fabric is on the top. So you're essentially quilting upside down. Then what you're going to do is use your machine and stitch around or trace around all of the design elements that are on that backing. So the big flower or the cat or the dog, stitch around each of them. And now you're creating the quilt design on the front. So you're essentially using your bobbin. So if you're not sure, then at least, use a backing fabric that kind of matches what you have on the front. So if you're doing a floral, use a big print or what was I thinking fabric on the back as a floral. Go around the flowers, go around the stems, go around the leaves. And now you've created a flower that you're going to see on the front of your quilt. And you didn't have to think about it. All you had to do was just kind of trace around your design elements or stitch around those.
What were you thinking? What were you? WWYT fabric. That's going to be our new hashtag. WWYT.
We're going to embroider those on our LeMay hammer pants. Why?
I love it. Hey, Lynn, just a couple more questions because our time is up, but we've got just a couple. I want to make sure I bring these up. Does the stitch regulator foot work on the Luminaire?
Not at this time. No.
Nope. Sorry, Lynn.
But
you can do free motion, just not with the stitch regulator.
You can do free motion, just not with the stitch regulator. Correct.
Annette says, I see things like this. I want the Aveneer. Well, don't forget, Annette, you have till January 31st to turn in any sewing machine of any value and get a $1,200 rebate if you tell your dealer you're part of the Wolf Pack. So got another week for that.
That's an awesome deal, folks. That is an awesome deal.
It is. Okay, there was one other one I saw on here I didn't want to miss. Needlework says now she wants to learn free motion quilting. I agree. Okay, Cindy said, when you talk to the engineers, make sure you tell them she has a request. I would like to be able to leave the light on for cleaning and then thank them for the no screw throat plate. Oh, we love that plate because you touch a button, you don't break a nail. I agree.
Cindy, you're my people. You're my people. We want the same things too. Us as educators, we're consumers too. We want the same things you do.
Absolutely. Okay, two other questions. One more. Elsa, great to see you, Elsa. How do you bury the thread? What do you mean by that? Taking a needle, putting it through? Give her a quick tip on that, and then we will wrap up the show.
So you have a funeral service. No, I'm just kidding. So what you do is you're going to take I think they call them cheater needles. They used to call them cheater needles. That's the easiest way to do it. It doesn't have an eye. You basically pop the thread into the edges of the needle. And I just find it's easier to take, once I bring my bobbin thread up, I take my top and bobbin thread and I tie a little knot until it's about 1/8 of an inch away from my quilt top. And I'll double knot that. And then I will take the needle and bury it through so it's under my quilt top. But essentially, in a perfect world, I want to take that thread through the batting, right? I'm not going to the back. I want to go through the back. So I'm sliding it between the top and the bottom, the top and the backing into the batting. And then I will bring that needle up at an area probably 1 inch or 2 away, give a little tug, and that knot will pop down into your quilt. And so that's a way to bury the threads and to hide to kind of solidify so nothing comes unraveled, nothing comes unstitched.
That is a great way to do it. Elsa, hopefully that made sense. You explained that very well, Jerry. And everyone's loving your idea of using the what was I doing with this fabric? But here's a good one. Wait, is this one? Did I miss it? Was it the one above it? Hold on. Yes. Jan says, how about drawing free motion with the disappearing pen? That would be super cool. And just make sure it disappears. Don't use silk or something because sometimes it stays on there.
And don't do your, ask me how I know. Don't do your whole cloth in a disappearing pen because by the time you get to your other areas, they've disappeared. You can't see them. So just do a little section at a time.
I did that. The one that disappears in 24 hours, Jerry? Many years ago when I used to design custom clothing and do alterations, I marked the entire bottom of this beautiful dress for a woman to hem. It disappears in 24 hours. I grabbed the wrong one And of course, the next day when I went to go alter it, it was gone.
Ouch, ouch. That's kind of like going to my design center, right? It's gone. It's gone. You can't get back to it.
It's gone.
Here's
Hey,
here's
Jerry.
another quick
Oh,
tip.
go ahead.
If you are going
Okay.
to if you want to mark your quilt and you're not sure what quilt design to use, get a thin piece of clear vinyl. Like go to the big box store or wherever you go and get a big piece of vinyl, cut it to the yard, and then use a dry erase marker. And you can practice your designs on the vinyl, which then you can erase. So if you don't like it, you can erase it. And you could try it again, but use a dry erase marker on clear vinyl on top of your quilt, and then you can kind of test out your design, see how they're going to look with your quilt design.
I love that. So everybody's so excited. They love your tips. You do such a great job explaining this quilting. So I've got great news for everyone. Mark your calendar. Jerry will be back on the show on February 17th. Can't wait to see what you're going to be working on. Let me make sure I read that right. February 17th. Yay, we get Jerry back.
Yay. I think that's going to be a St. Patrick's Day show, because then you can get all your St. Patrick's Day projects done before
That's
March.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
That's perfect.
So if you like green, come on by.
Oh, I'm already prepared for it. I'm wearing green.
Oh, see, look at you're thinking ahead.
Well, this is going to be awesome. So, Jerry, real quick, is there any shows between now and then that anybody can see you at? Are you traveling right now?
No, I'm not traveling too much right now. I'm getting a lot of samples done. So I will be doing an event at the end of February in Chicago. So I'm working on a lot of samples right now, especially with the new machine, the Aveneer. So come on by if you just happen to see me. Not really big into social media, but I should be. I'm going to be soon. Trust me.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to share it for you. So don't worry. You're good.
Awesome.
All right. The brother fans say thank you. Thank you. Jerry, this has been an awesome show. We can't wait till next month. In the meantime, happy sewing, everyone. Happy quilting. And go through your fabrics and find your WWITs. All right.
Thank you, everyone. It was so great to see you. Thanks for having me, Angela.
Thanks, Jerry.